Screen.
Oh, there it goes.
And there's Reza.
All right. Welcome, Reza. Brent, good to have you on. Leslie, did we just lose Shane? Oh,
No,
no, Shane's still there. Okay.
moved down. Is there?
There we go. And we're up.
All right, you guys, welcome to tonight. I'm going to start off with a couple announcements. For those of you who are not in the know, my model method coach training is actually happening this week. Starts tomorrow on the 12th, and it will run the 12th through the 15th. And then the second session of that, the 26th through the 1st. And then IBC first session is going to be March 12th through 14th. And then second session, 19th through 21. So for those of you who have gotten in on that, I'm super stoked for your experience. It's going to be amazing. Make sure that you hydrate well, make sure that you fuel well so that your brain has got what it needs to stretch and grow and create new connections and new ganglia. Definitely a great thing to think about anytime that you're going into an event, especially virtually, to make sure that you're prepped so that you can get the most out of it. And the next 5-day business challenge is going to be starting on March 3rd. So if you didn't get in on that one, or if you did and you want to repeat and want to go deeper and have another experience, because every time you learn information, you go into it with a question: what might I learn from this and how does it apply to me now? It is more it's more impactful, and it definitely hits you at a bit deeper levels, depending on, and getting tongue-tied now, depending on how you're coming into it and what you want to get out of it. So if you didn't get to join the first one, please make sure that you get your well, I guess stay tuned for more details will be coming on that, correct, Blair? On like
Yes.
where and how to register. All right.
Yep.
Cool.
And that's the 5-day business challenge.
Yes, and again, that's a great thing to get your hands on, especially if you are a business owner looking to grow your bottom line or figure out how you might refine processes and think about things to get more traction in your business. Also, we've got Blair's Insider Notes. So each one of these episodes, we take some time behind the scenes and prepare topics and go through some things that we might talk about. And then Blair does the work of being able to take that and enhance it in such a way where it becomes its own study guide. And so what he's put together is an opportunity for you guys to get your hands on his insider notes. What that is deeper insights into what we're going to be talking about topic-wise. It's a great addition to the BDE. Again, as a reference point, and then also to utilize moving forward to enhance your understanding of mind models and how they might apply in your situation. That's something that you can get all historical and ongoing notes for the Blair Dunkley experience, starting with episode 318. And just for context, we are on episode 331. So there's quite a bit in there. And to be able to do that, it's $25 a month or $300 a year. Highly recommend that you do that. I will drop the link in the chat for those of you here on the Zoom with us. And for those of you listening live, you can go to blairdunkley.com/BDE Insider Notes and be able to get your hands on that there. And my last announcement I can't make yet. I got to give it a minute. Blair,
You ran away.
you're part of my announcement.
Sorry, I needed to grab my water. You just reminded me. I need to hydrate as well.
You need to hydrate as well. Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay. Well, the other announcement is today is a big day. Our fearless leader and amazing creator of the mind model experience here with the BDE is Blair Dunkley, and it's his birthday today. So love for everybody out there to wish Blair a happy birthday in the chat here with us. Let us know maybe your biggest takeaway that you've experienced thus far with Blair so that he can actually read that and capture it as a gift to him. Blair has been in it. I said I wasn't going to get emotional today, and it may start already. He's been a very central figure in Tim and I's life, and the work that he has done with mind models and allowing them to be accessible to the public so that people can transform their lives has been a radical shift for Tim and I in multiple areas of our life. I'll let Tim tell a little bit more about that in our intro in just a minute. But Blair, happy birthday.
Yes. Happy birthday, Blair.
We are so
Happy
stoked
birthday.
to spend a little bit of time with you on your special day. And thank you so much for the enrichment that you bring to all of our lives.
Thank you so much. And thank you all for being here.
Yes.
But a special thanks to Lori for the balloons, the balloons, and I'm used to it being the other way around. The balloons in the background. Thank you so much, Lori, for coming in. You shocked the heck out of me today. Was stunned and amazed, you showing up. Mask in hand, snacks in hand, well, food in hand, and balloons in hand. So thank you. You
You're
made
welcome.
my day very special.
You're welcome.
Super appreciate that.
We are planning to do dinner on the weekend when I'm feeling better.
Yeah.
And you're not working.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well
Yeah.
deserved. Well deserved.
Mhm.
All right. Okay. So
Okay, so with that, welcome everybody to the 331st episode of the Blair Dunkley Experience, where we discuss mind models. On this show, we talk about mind models. Mind models are simple thought frameworks to help us put names and labels to how we think. When we understand how we think, we can learn to think more effectively and create the identifiable, repeatable, and duplicatable behaviors needed to finally break out of the different stuck states that we find ourselves in. Mind models have been extensively tested and proven to be 80% effective versus mindset, which is only 1% effective, and there has been studies done on that. Mind model skills and behaviors enable people to transform their lives intentionally. Your host for this evening, as was previously mentioned, is Blair Dunkley, the creator of Mind Models, and it's his 70th birthday, and we're excited to be on with him. We are Tim and Becky Graff, your co-hosts and certified mind model coaches, along with Patty McClurg, who unfortunately is not with us tonight. We miss Patty. She's a vital part of the program here. She's unfortunately under the weather, and she will be missed tonight, as well as Colin. Colin is away with some family things, and Colin is working on becoming a certified mind model coach. In fact, he's going through this mind model session that is coming up and working on moving forward with that process himself. The Blair Dunkley experience here is Blair's gift to you and is an opportunity to learn, experience, and practice mind models in a safe, real-world environment. Mind models have helped Becky and I personally in our own lives, not only in business, but in resolving an 8-year issue in our marriage within just a couple of hours as we went through My Model Coach, to the navigating of grief and PTSD from a tragic accident when we lost both of our daughters back in 2020. My models have allowed us to be more effective and increase our capacities and our speed of recovery without traditional counseling. We're so grateful for Mind Models. We look forward to learning with you tonight, and we welcome you to the 331st episode of the Blair Dunkley Experience. If you're on YouTube, we ask you to please comment as we go through tonight's Blair Dunkley Experience. We'd love to see your comments in the chat. And then also, if you're on any of the other platforms or anything, and you can like and subscribe, those kinds of things, it is extremely helpful, and we do appreciate it. Just as a reminder really fast, the Blair Dunkley Experience is every Tuesday night right here. And you can catch recordings on YouTube, but we are 7 p.m. Mountain or 9 p.m. Eastern. So you can look forward to that every Tuesday night.
And there's the ability to get onto this is located on Blair's website, or will be shortly. Also, for those of you who join us here live, if you know anybody who you would like to invite to the BDE, again, this is Blair's free gift to you. Please make sure that you hook them up with the link. I've popped it in the chat, so make sure you snag that and share it with those who you would like to expose to the mind models and the value-packed experience that comes from the BDE and learning how to be more effective in your own life.
So we've been talking over the last couple of weeks, the last 3 weeks, about barriers, blocks, and beliefs. We took a deeper dive into barriers. Last week, we talked about some different blocks and the difference between barriers and blocks. And this week, we want to do a dive into limiting beliefs and how they don't have to define you. So that is what we're going to be exploring tonight. I wanted to open it up first of all and just ask if anybody had, like I said last week, we kind of went over those barriers and blocks and the difference between the barriers and blocks. And I was just curious if anybody had a leftover from last week or anything that they had happened to them this week that they noticed, experienced. And with that, I will... Does anybody have anything real quick? I'm happy to call on someone.
And to that point, I'm going to ask a favor up front from you guys. Okay, is it okay if we all play well together and get a little uncomfortable and choose to be open and vulnerable tonight? If you guys can commit to that and you guys are open to playing full out tonight as we talk about something that might be a little bit sensitive for some people, limiting beliefs. I know for me, it has been very I felt exposed and a little bit vulnerable talking about some of those things that have kept me stuck and how I think about things. If you guys are open to that, we drop a 2 in the chat just so that I can visually see where you guys are at tonight as far as coming into this episode and how and who is willing to play with us in the safe environment so that we can get the most utility out of the topic that we're going to be talking about tonight. Because it's great to know things. It's great to learn concepts,
Yes.
but it's even more powerful to have an experience with them that we can take and practice in our own world. And with that little caveat, go back to you. Do you have any other pieces on
Excellent.
leftovers? Then that's fair, Jeremy. If you're not sure in this moment, that's great. I'll check in with you if something comes
Yep,
up. Feel
yep,
free.
no
Would
worries.
love to have a dialogue.
Not a worry at all. Hey, Shane, I was curious if anything came up for you this week. I know you hopped in and had a little bit of the discussion last week. Was there anything you noticed this week as you went through trading or anything else that you is going through life on the ranch?
Oh, it's been a week here. Kids have been sick. I had now got the stomach flu. Ended up in the ER overnight Thursday night with a son-in-law, and then came home for a couple hour nap. And then the ER doctor said, "Well, looks like he's got early stages of lung cancer," which sent a panic through everywhere. Turns out it's just bacterial pneumonia, but yeah, no. So those were some stressors. But I typed in the chat. I can help others kind of see their ineffective behavior on their own charts, but then yet I can't. I struggle. I'm changing my words. I struggle to stick to my own plan and trade the same way I coach, I guess.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And so how, when you say you struggle to stick your own plan, how does that show up for you and like behaviorally? Like how does that impact you? I know you said the contrast, but you typed in the chat, I feel like a fake fraud and I can help others trade, but I struggle with my own. How does that specific belief that you hold impact you?
Oh, I mean, it affects the trading success. I hold on to trades I know I shouldn't even be in. My brain says you should be out of this trade by now, but yet, oh, it'll come back, and then obviously it doesn't. And so the trade account balance goes down, and then you get frustrated and emotional and feel like a sense of lack of control.
Mhm. Okay. Yeah, thanks for sharing. And Shane, I'm going to circle back to that if you don't mind. I'd like
Yep.
to check with anybody else as we move into this topic of limiting beliefs. Is there anyone else that has experienced a limiting belief? So Shane holds something around trading. Is there anyone else that would like to share a limiting belief that they found seems to be a repeating occurrence for them?
Jane, you came off mute. Do you have something?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of how to word it. I mean, we all go through that way, but I think my limiting belief is partly around my age and my health, that I don't want to commit too much, you know, and build, a business when I look at how old I am and the fact that from an energy and time stamp, I would rather be cutting back. And so I basically sit in limbo most of the time, or have been, you know, especially when, like this winter, I went through a healing process where in the past it would have taken me maybe a week or two and I'd be fine. And, instead it was a month or two, kind of thing. And, we're coming up on tax season. I know that Reza knows this. And there's a part of me that, I keep telling people, I don't want new business. I don't want new business. And then I get people who literally come to me begging because I heard you were so amazing, or I heard that, you explain things so that, we can understand it or whatever. And, even when I say no, 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 there seems to be new clients on my desk. And I'm just going, and sometimes they'll talk for half an hour to convince me to say yes, and I'm not holding to it. So, and I've worked on saying no for a very long time. I actually had a button on my phone that if a telemarketer called, I would push this button and it would tell them no, because eventually I would end up giving out money that I didn't need to be sending, so I'm
Fair
still
enough.
working on that.
Mhm.
But yeah, there's,
So
my
it-
50-year high school reunion is this year, and I'm like going, what the heck? Who got? Oh yeah, I forgot. I guess I'm that old. So I go back and forth on that one.
So I hear, hey, age-related things in multiple areas, health, time, healing. Is it something I can really do as far as like starting a new venture? Thank you for sharing,
Well,
Jane. Okay,
I
so
mean,
we've got
I've started ventures before, and
Mhm.
life just happens, and I end up saying, you know what, I can't do this right now. I can't do this right now. I can't do this right now. And I'm now looking back on it going, let's see, I start something up, and after 2 years, something else has come up, and whether it was I was not able to say no, or whether it was, a move happened, therefore everything goes on pause. And when you put anything that's on pause for very long, it just kind of falls apart, kind of thing. And so I just look at, is the common denominator me? Or you know what I mean? Even though I've had
Okay.
successes in the past, where am I going?
So great question. And I'm curious if anybody else has ever asked the question when something's going on and it seems to be a repeated thing, like what's the common denominator? I seem to be the common denominator. Has somebody else ever experienced that? I know I have. Okay. Okay. Reza raise hands. Brand. Okay. So in essence, if you start that narrative, what's the danger? Am I the common denominator? What's the slippery slope that might lead to? Brent.
Judgment.
Jane, yes, judgment. But Brent, what else? What might that also lead to?
I don't know. For me, it was I beat myself up. I put pressure on myself and beat myself up. But you know, effectively using the mind models, I look at it as like, is it me? So inside, not outside. Like if I'm the
Okay.
common denominator, and it like what do I do? Control, like the control and influence, and what is my input? What are my responsibilities? So what do I have to do for myself to work to fix things and set up that from the outside?
Okay.
Changing situation, other people, like looking at it from that way. But okay, what pieces are working for me? What's not working? And then
So Brent, you've beautifully illustrated the power of mind models and how they can do a tea time interrupt. Okay, let's redirect this.
Mhm.
For people who find themselves in a habituated thing, the danger often is that becomes the new story. That can very quickly become a limiting belief that, oh my gosh, and personal story for me, and this is around weather and it's completely absurd. And Tim has to tell me, check yourself. Okay. I don't like water, have issues with water, lots of stuff we don't need to go into with that. However, it seemed like last year we could not go somewhere without it being rainy and cold and all the things. And I'm like, am I the issue? Am I the weather vane? These things are following me around. I need to not go do these things, because if I go, then the weather's gonna be crappy. Okay. And it's a silly but real example of how a situation started impacting the behaviors and the way that I thought about things that we were going into. And Shane, you put in the chat, I don't even ask if I'm the common denominator. I tell myself I'm the problem.
Yeah.
Okay. Brent.
So
yeah.
I
Yeah,
want to
that's how I was gonna see if Becky was explaining something. I was like, she's blaming herself for the external things happening. She's making herself as the issue problem, not just okay, what are the things that is it like the way I'm thinking or behaving, like those things? It's, oh, I'm the one causing all these things. I'm the problem. I'm
Like
the one causing all these
I'm
external
just
things
a
to
full
happen.
disclosure here,
Yeah.
guys. For about 5 years, maybe 7 years, I did not go to hockey games or football games in the city, because if I went, our team lost. So if I wanted my team to win, I just don't go to the game.
Hmm. So Blair,
Well,
Yeah.
and I just want to share this too, since we're on this vein, and Shane might get a kick out of this one, but I have found, because I trade as well, and when I'm not doing other things, it's kind of become a hobby. But I have found for myself that I can sit and I can watch the market as I'm trading, and I will watch it go, like, let's just say, for example, into a buy, and it'll go up and up and up and up and up. And I'm like, yes, this is a great opportunity to get in and make some money. And I'll get in. And as soon as I get in, it starts going into a sell. Or vice versa. I'll get into a sell that is just running and making money. And then all of a sudden it'll do a U-turn. And for a while there, I felt like it's just me. I swear, as soon as I get in there, the market turns around. It's almost like somebody's watching me and going, Tim's in, we'll go the other way. And I felt that so many times because I've watched it, and it seems like it is just going and going. And as soon as I get in, it'll do a U-turn. And so for the longest time, and I still, sometimes I'm like, man, is it just me? But it seems like those situations will change as soon as I get in. So
yeah,
just interesting
and-
when you feel like you're the problem.
yes,
Isn't
Shane.
it amazing how the universe surrounds and circles around us?
Wouldn't that be cool, right? So, in this topic, in the spirit of what we're talking about, limiting beliefs. Okay, so beliefs that are limiting. Blair had one. Okay, it kind of impacted the way in which you interfaced with your sports. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I have it when I go outside, and I said have because it's a work in progress. It's sometimes it's challenging to interrupt the thought process when there is, from our perspective, evidence pointing to the truth of our belief. Blair, I was wondering if you wouldn't mind giving a little bit of a differentiator between the beliefs, limiting beliefs, and how they interface with barriers and blocks, if you don't mind.
Absolutely. We start having okay, so the smallest unit of barriers, blocks, and beliefs is the barrier, because we can see over the barrier, we can see around it, we can do something with it. It's a barrier, but blocks are bigger, and they become this thing that frequently we can't move them, and we cannot easily get around them, and a lot of the time we cannot even look over them or get past them in any way, shape, or form. And that becomes, a significant block. And when that block hits us, we start looking, and we frequently build beliefs around that. So that belief is something that we hold as true for us. And it's an internal model of the world. And that internal model of the world becomes, well, problematic, because we hold on to that and we hold it as truth. Not the truth, but as our truth. And those things are very challenging to overcome, because we are holding that as a belief, and it's 100% internal. And we almost always flip that into why it's true, which creates the reasons, excuses, rationalizations, and justifications. And we create the story around that. Now we find multiple scenarios where that was like a 5 or 7 year story set of when I would be talked into going to a football game or a hockey game, and I went, and then we'd lose. So, I mean, it's like, I don't want to jinx it. I'm bad luck. It's like, this is me. This is not them. It's me. Until I started breaking down the evidence and looking to test it out externally and go, people, they're choosing their own destiny. The team is doing it well. And actually, the better I got at profiling, I could start figuring out, in fact, at the peak of my profiling skills, I would listen to players or coaches prior to the game and go, oh, this would be a good time. If I was a betting person, this is a good chance to be able to say they're likely going to win this one, or no, they're not ready. They're not into this. They can't figure this one out. And so that was where that internal state starts creeping in. That was also about the same time I started building out the success model, and I started noticing that the who, what, who, what, how model. If people were talking and it was them, and they were in their what, historical what first, and then their action plan what, and they would create a why in any part of that, they were justifying their position. And that was a very slippery slope. So if things did not go the way that they wanted to, they would throw in that some team members would throw in the towel quickly, and they were not very resilient. But that resilience also popped into my head. What do I have to know about me? Do I need resilience? And where do I get my resilience from? And that's from evaluation and not judgment. And that pivot from judgment to evaluation got me recognizing external factors that enable me to make change, that enables me to test changes and to make them small. In fact, again, I have a client on Tuesdays for the last 2 months, and he's had some amazing breakthroughs this week in recognizing how to shift how he is. And he was quite depressed and not giving up exactly, but not knowing how to move forward. And now he's looking forward. He also says one of those things where I get a lot of it from people in coach training and other parts of my life. Blair, you're in my head when you're not even there, and you're telling me this stuff about, is this effective or ineffective? Is this externally verifiable, or is this an evaluation, or is it a judgment? And should I be reliving or remembering here? You know, like all these different mind models start popping in his head. And I go, okay, let's start playing with this and figure out what leverages me the most. Not what do I feel, but what do I want to become? And so if I look at how I'm feeling right now, and I recognize that my feeling is based on my past, am I in a story about why I am? Yeah, I'm in a story, even if I think I'm telling it all in once. It's what got me here. Nah, that's just a sneaky way of disguising a why, turning a what into a why. But if I look at just what is, and I break it down to what is, and start accepting what is, then incrementally moving through it, it's not so horrible. It's one step at a time, folks. And that's how you get through life. Always is one step at a time. Always. Except when you want to hold yourself stuck. So that belief piece needs to be pivoted away from the barriers and blocks, and so that you get barriers, blocks, and beliefs pivoted into the present, so you can stop judging, because the barrier, block, and belief is some partially external stuff that you internalize and you hold as true for you, and you create a story around it. If you hold on to that story, you're stuck. But if you say, oh, that's my story, that's why I did what I did, but is that what I want to do? The short answer is no, it's not what I want to do. It's not who I want to be. So who is that person that you want to be? And what's one thing I can do right now to move forward and test to see if it's effective, to find out externally verifiably if it's effective. And Shane, and to some degree Leslie, and Tim, trading is always about testing. It is always about testing. And you have to make micro tests to develop your own ability to evaluate the pattern that exists and to test it and to hold yourself in terms of what is. Please, the more you do that, the more effective it is. And Shane, you do it beautifully. For others, you haven't quite developed the skill to look at yourself the same way that you look at others. That's the difference. Because Leslie was telling me what an amazing coach you are for him in trading. So there you go.
And I love that you specified that, Blair, the identification of the thing. How many people, and I know, Shane, you actually put it in the chat. Do you have one?
No.
Oh, sorry. He breathed in, so I thought he was about ready to say something. I'm like, okay. But like thinking through the idea of self-worth or imposter syndrome issues. Raise of hands, those of you who've ever felt like you were an imposter, that you were like, I shouldn't be doing this. There's no reason I'm not qualified to teach this. I'm not good enough to teach this. I'm going to fall on my face if I try this. Okay. A lot of times those things come up because of the story that Blair was just talking about. But when you look at the evidence, what is actually real, and you break it down and you ask the question, am I making an attempt? Yes or no? The act of making attempt makes you being an imposter irrelevant. You can't be an imposter if you're attempting.
Yep.
Because you are doing something, you have an intention behind what you're doing, even if it's attempting to throw mud against the wall and hoping that something sticks, you at least are making an attempt to do something different than you are now, to improve in some way, to progress in some way, to become something more than you are right now, like further down the path for it. And so a lot of times when we're talking about when we feel like, story ready to load, okay, feel like we're not good enough, I can't do it, I can do it for others, cobbler shoes scenario. Okay, it is allowing situations that have impacted us in the past to take full reign on our current now, and we're projecting it into the future, and we're giving up what we actually have control over to the story.
Yeah.
And understanding that your desire for change and attempting something throws the imposter out the window, because you can't be one. You can't be faking something till you make it if you're actually taking action. Maybe you haven't made it yet. And this typically ties back into maybe unreasonable expectations of yourself, of others, of the timeline. Anybody ever experienced that? Expectations, they go wrong and you're like, ah.
Well, Becky, I when I was creating the question concepts, it took me literally 2 years before I would share that with other people, even though I was testing it every day to confirm what I had figured out and knew that this stuff worked. In fact, that's one of the few mind models that work 100% of the time. There's nothing that I've been able to find that is a deviation in question concept. So it's fundamental. But how can a moronic genius, who was still at the time more moron focused than genius focused, have figured out something that nobody else has, and start getting more and more evidence that this is a unique piece of work, that it doesn't exist anyplace else, getting it reviewed by people that are incredibly smart. Dr. Redekop reviewing it, writing his entire 5,000-page dissertation on all known forms of psychology, both Eastern and Western, and stating he hasn't seen anything that is a comprehensive thing around question concept. He's seen bits and pieces of it, but not anything anywhere close to as comprehensive as what I was able to do. And yet still stalling for years because of my insecurity. And that was one of my clear discoveries of how doubt holds us back. When we doubt ourselves rather than test. And that was part of that whole process of recognizing I need to test to remove doubt. And my fear, doubt is sort of a sliding scale into deeper fears. And so if I can take micro tests, can I figure this out? Yeah, I can. And start building that so that I can learn how to trust my decisions, my choices, and my information that I've researched and proven. So might that be a model to overcome? Testing, again, back into testing and overcoming.
And I love that. Who recognized a specific mind model that Blair was utilizing in what he just shared with us? Brent? You gave me a 2 in the chat.
Shoot, man. You caught me. I was thinking of something else.
Would you
But
like to share something
it was
else?
regarding tonight. That was I was thinking of like shoulda, woulda, like time of judging, but should have done this, should have done that, instead of just looking like what worked, what didn't. Like, man, I should have done this. I should have done this, and that's better. Looking at it that way after doing something. I'm like, oh, okay, that's what I was running through my mind. Blair, in the beginning when Blair was talking about, I was like, oh man, it sounds like you get into a bit of judgment there, and maybe look at it like I should have done this, and could have done that. So that's where I went off thinking about that.
And 100% on that. That's,
Yeah.
we talk about like what are the languages, what's the language that we use, or what are the things that we say that can be an indicator of a limiting belief, either in formation or full blown or deeply rooted. It's a lot of those things that you're talking about, Brent, right? I should have. Okay. So you start telling the story. So well done in pointing that out. So was there anything else you got from what Blair said instead of that very acute piece about our language that
I
we
did
use?
pick up on evaluation though. He did go through evaluation process, like evaluating to be effective and going away from the judgment piece to evaluate.
Awesome.
And I was gonna like Jane falling forward, like that was one, like he was taking small steps doing that and evaluating moving forward and testing that. So that, and he did the name and labels. So that was one too. The naming and labeling. If it's effective name and labeling or ineffective, that could, put you into the limiting, a belief as well. Like if Blair, like the moronic genius, how can I, someone like that name and label, how can someone like that do this? Like those type of things. Yeah.
And well done with that. He did it again. Do you have something to say now? All I hear is deep inhale.
I saw it.
Okay, so you have something to say.
So one of the things I was just going to mention, that just to kind of pivot off what you were saying, Brent, is the identification piece. I mean, one of the big things that is very important when we have these limiting beliefs is first identifying. Because if we don't identify it, I mean, where do you move if you're unaware, if you can't identify what you're saying to yourself or those ineffective behaviors? If you can't identify the thing, you don't even have a starting point. You don't even notice that you're holding yourself stuck. So another mind model that comes up for me is, and we've talked about this on previous episodes as well. In fact, I think we talked about it on the last episode, was the Ananpu, the awareness notice process. We have to be aware. First of all, we have to be aware that we're being ineffective. We have to be aware of the thing and identify it, notice it, and then, go through that process of creating a new behavior and actually doing something. Because if you don't do the behavior, it doesn't actually count. You're not actually changing anything. You're just telling yourself the story in your head. And so the identification, the awareness of the thing, noticing when you're telling yourself the story or when you're going there, and then creating that process moving forward is, you know, like Blair was talking about, testing, doing different things to change it. That is,
Mhm.
that's what I pulled out, and you know what I was picking up on. And to your point, Brent, you know, that identification piece first,
Yeah.
because if you can't
Well, that-
identify it, how do you pivot?
Yeah. Also, the success formula is right there as well. You know,
Yep.
Blair's talking about, you know, in his like who was, what he was doing, what, and then take the action. You know, like you said, what you don't know if you're not doing it, you're not doing anything. You don't have nothing. You don't have anything to evaluate and to go off of. So, yeah.
Yeah, Lori just threw in the comments there, what might I do differently? And that is such a critical starting point to figure out change. And then Jane went on to say, I have a limiting belief of finding the word. Naming and labeling is very difficult for me. I don't always know what I'm feeling because I can't find the word. That is so true. However, that's how come we also I suggest getting a feeling word dictionary, a thing on a piece of paper. And there's lots of things if you go onto the internet and you get a feeling word chart. I think I've got one somewhere in here.
Jane's
Uh,
got that for you.
Yeah.
okay, great.
Com.
There you go.
Yeah, there you
Even
go.
with the feeling word, the feelings wheel, that doesn't mean I can say, oh, this is what I'm feeling, because it's not quite right. So I have Collins, I think he shared with us some weeks ago, some months ago.
Yep.
It was like 2,500 feeling
Yep.
words.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think if I have, if that was a shared with everybody kind of
It
thing.
was.
And if, oh, here we go, feeling word dictionary.
And
Then
Jane,
you've got this huge list that you got to go through.
can I ask you a
I don't know
question
what
about
he-
that? Miss Jane, can I ask you a question about that?
Yes, you may.
So I'm curious, do you feel added stress, like, when you're attempting to name and label what you feel?
Yes, and stress usually limits, or that's my experience, is that my recall it gets constricted.
Mhm.
You know, play Trivial Pursuit. I don't know anything. You ask me
Yeah.
something off the cuff, and hey, I got the answer like that, kind of thing. If there's no stress, you know, I'm there. But as soon as I add a little bit of stress or whatever, or I'm trying to think of, you know, of the word or whatever, that's where I go,
Okay,
you know.
So,
So I
Jane,
want to replace the feeling of grief in connection. I finally figured this out. I've talked about it before. My office, I'm good with doing a lot of things in my office until I start to work on tax work, because back when after my mom passed away, every time I sat down at my desk to work on a specific project in my tax business, I would start to weep. And so I went, okay, I can't do this right now. Well, that set, because the emotional state was quite high, that switch went off, and I have struggled. I can get through tax season, but I can't get through this one project that I really, really, really would love to get off my desk.
Mhm.
And so, and therefore that goes back to limiting my time of doing other things, because I know this is something I really want to get done if I can get past it. I finally figured it out, Blair. I did it. I figured out I have grief hardwired into this project.
Hmm.
I tried to schedule with Patty to do the freedom phobia fixer thing, and we just couldn't get our schedules to mesh. I kind of have an idea of what I need to do to get that to happen, but now I need to find what emotion do I want to replace grief with. And I've printed off the happy portion of the feelings wheel,
Yeah.
literally going, yeah, this doesn't quite fit. So what am I looking for? So I'm still looking for the right word.
So that
Well,
right there, Jane.
So I'm doing the
Jane,
the attempts here.
can I make an offering?
Yes.
Okay. What I'm hearing in your language is the right word. The word.
How about 3 right words, that would be good too. But I'm
What,
not getting
how might
close.
that work for you? If
Actually, can I tweak this a little bit? I love the direction you're going, Becky.
go for it.
But Jane,
Hmm.
does it need to be the right word, the perfect word? Or can it be close enough?
It can be close enough. I just need to replace it with something other than grief.
I understand that. Now, can we not worry about the word grief for this second here?
Okay.
Can we look at it in terms of describing feelings that are close enough? And that is the issue.
Mhm.
Like if you can start getting things that are sort of closer, warmer sort of thing, that's what I suggest you move forward to in order to find a an approximation of where you're at, not an exact.
Mhm.
And the more that you get warm to something, closer to something, the more effective it will become. And the less need, because it's almost sounding like it has to be the perfect word,
I
or
am looking for a list of words, whatever. I just want this badly.
good, great. So now if we can just shift it to close is good enough. A bat, like I have this phrase, bad is better than nothing. And that got me unstuck. So I want to do things badly to start off with. Because if I do it badly, I can improve on it. But if I do nothing, there is no room for improvement because I'm still at 0. You're thinking. Does that make sense to you at all, Jane?
It does.
Is it off base for you or is it
Oh,
useful or useless?
I'm smooshing.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, and I'm just going to toss this out there and see if it uh, resonates or works with you at all, Jane. But might looking for the quote unquote right word be creating a barrier for you?
Well, it's a new one. It's just a different color than the one that was there before.
So Jane, when you said I'm smushing, what came up for you? What did you realize your smush was or is?
The looking and the finishing into trying to make it part of the process rather than doing.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing what you now know, what might you do?
I'm gonna print off the 1,000 words that Colin has, and I'm gonna look through it with a highlighter and highlight all the ones that might work, and then go through that list again. Cull it down till I have a handful, I guess. I mean, I've thought of other items, and okay, so I thought of other processes. One, my daughter tells me that I really should be better at journaling. I'd rather calligraph for somebody else's stuff than journal my own feelings. So I've avoided doing it because I don't know. I don't know why I'm avoiding finding the right answer. Does that make sense? And not
Well,
the right answer, but I'm avoiding finding it.
But might that be part of the problem is you're looking for the right answer?
Yeah.
As I mentioned, you may be creating a bit of a barrier for yourself, looking for the right answer or the right thing, instead of the awareness that you're testing, you're getting curious, you're actually doing things and testing. Are you aware of it though? Are you noticing that you're testing?
Each
Or are
day
you
I
just
notice something
focused?
new.
Awesome.
So I think one of my limiting, what I just saw in my brain, I'm noticing,
Yeah.
is the phobia fixer when Blair, did the sample of it and whatnot and worked with Christy and all that other stuff and explained how it worked. He used the experience of laughter. And part of me is going, yeah, but laughter is not where I want to go. That's not what I need to replace this with. I don't need to replace it with laughter. So now I'm curious, what do I need to replace it with? And so I'm looking.
Hey, what do you need to replace it with?
I don't know. You got your stuff done. Obviously, it's not an accountability partner. I'm getting lots of other things done.
So that's
But
an
I'm
Oh,
not
sorry,
getting
I'm
the one
losing
thing.
you. Oh, shoot.
So
Are you there?
May I make an observation?
Please.
Oh, shoot. Jane, I've noticed you and I are similar, and you may not think this, but we're searching for a feeling that makes it feel right to do it now. And sometimes I have to opt to do something even when I'm feeling not like it's the right time or the right feeling, just because we can make that choice. So sometimes, do you think it might be possible to do something when it doesn't feel right, but you know it needs to be done because it's on your list?
well, yes, but that's not the same thing as still avoiding it, because that's what I'll do.
Okay, but yes,
Something will
yeah,
come up.
but it's not the same. It's not the same. So it's almost like it's like a perfectionist thing, like in our mind's eye, we have to have it exactly the way we think it's meant to be, just to do the action. Are we in that way? Are we restricting our actions because of it?
Jackie, you're breaking up. I'm having a hard time
Yeah.
comprehending.
Yeah, Jackie, we lost you. So what are you
Yeah,
getting from
sorry,
that, Jane?
sorry.
What did you get from what Jackie asked you, Jane?
Having the right, there I said it again, the right, I still have that belief there. Having not, even if I kind of got the impression that whatever the target is, if it's not right now, you do it anyway. That's kind of that in a nutshell.
Well, one of the things I'll just share, I have a client that I'm working with, same one, on Tuesday. His big thing was always doing it perfectly. And if it wasn't perfect, he didn't even start it. So he had to work it through all in his brain. And then he didn't start because it wasn't completed in his brain first. And so I just got him finally down to 5 minutes. Just do 5 minutes of this. And actually for him, it was a book called The Secret to the Fountain of Youth, which is this yoga that he does. And it explains it. Just do 3 of these to start moves of each of the moves of yoga, of the 5 moves in the yoga or 7 moves, I forget what it was, but it was a handful of moves, and just start with 1 and just do it 3 times. And literally twirling around like a whirling dervish is one of those exercises. And he said, you know what, Blair, just doing that 3 times was the only thing that I could do. And I've been able to do it every day this week. Because just doing it consistently for the minimum amount of time to begin something is all he needed to do. Now he's adding before he met me, he's just added 1 more step and 1 more exercise. And that's what he did to shift himself. And this guy is a C-level executive, like in the C-suite, a chief technical officer, believe it or not. But he needed to break it down in his own life to a small, incrementally small piece and do that and just test. And he was so grateful because he was able to start testing. Just test it. Don't do it, test it. And he changed up that word.
I've got to turn it into a test, and I've got it written here. I just won't get started. I know that once I start, I'll
Then
get
break
stuff
it down
done.
to just a 5 minute, like there's a thing called a Pomodoro.
Bought a timer. It's got
Right,
5
set it
minutes.
for 5 minutes and do it. Or set
Jane,
it for 1 minute.
Jane, listen, I'll tell you something that really helped me, and I'm not sure if it'll help you, but you never know. Just the fact, like I had a piece of laundry on the floor. It was so painful to try and actually pick it up and put it on the chair. Like to take it to the laundry was like another friggin' matter. But if I picked it up off the floor and put it in a pile, at least I'd done that. And I got a sense of like, oh, I did something. And I'm wondering, like, what are you looking for as a result of taking an action? What is your, like, are you looking for a feeling of satisfaction? Are you looking to tick off a list? Like, what is it that you're searching for?
I
Like,
don't
what do
know.
you need?
Or
I
what are
don't
you,
know.
or what are you afraid of, Jane?
Well, I'm not necessarily. No, I'm sorry. I'm not necessarily thinking it's she's afraid of anything. Really, like in afraid. It's
Mm.
just that it just doesn't fit in with like how it feels. Like the perfectionism thing. I keep getting back to that.
So for you, Jane, what's resonating with you?
I don't know. I just go into this like this oblivious place. It's just like it just becomes this big void.
Like numb?
No,
No? What then?
Empty.
well, it feels heavy before I start, but I, see, now I go back to that finding the right word thing. Finding a
Well,
word.
you know what?
But
What about doing rather than thinking?
well, even when I head downstairs to my office,
Yep.
sorry about this is one of my interrupters.
Yep.
And you can tell she's very insistent.
Very.
I can get all the way down into my office and a thought will occur to me to go, oh, I need to do this right away. Or oh, if I don't write it down, I'll forget, and then I'll forget the next thing. And then,
So figure out one thing to do
Mhm.
when you get to your office. Do that one thing.
Oh, I did that last week. I got all my filing done.
Okay,
Filing's done.
you know what, Jane, it might be even as simple as breathing, taking a deep friggin' breath.
Are you typing that down, Jane? Are you writing that
Yeah,
down?
I'm writing it down and then trying to figure out, did I spell that right?
Yeah. So anytime we're finding ourselves bumping up against resistance, like Blair's talking about, getting curious enough to identify what might be going on and then figuring out what specifically might I do? What am I going to test first? You know, lots of ideas from a lot of different people can help, but at the end of the day, it's about us testing those new pathways. It's about us interrupting those thought patterns and asking, is this true for me now? Is this reasonable for me now? Sometimes one of the things that I found with people that I work with often is that they want change. They say that they want change, yet the pain of the problem hasn't gotten worse than the pain of making a change yet.
Mhm.
So the resistance is coming from the discomfort of having to create a new routine or break out of routine into something different. And one of the quotes that I love from Blair is, if you don't do it, it doesn't count. because we can't test things that haven't been done.
Right.
They're still internal. They're still, within the 6 inches between our ears. It's a perception. It's a perceived problem until we test to see if there is a way through that, if there's something I might do differently. And, even sometimes tapping somebody for additional support. If you feel like you've run out of the story, if I fill out, I've done everything. Okay. Who might you tap? Who might you reach out to for support to get information of things to test if you're finding yourself gapped, if you're in that void space for yourself as well? Okay. Leslie, you looked pretty curious. Are you okay if I check in to see what's coming up for you within this conversation? Any overlap, any insight?
Sure. It's an excellent conversation. Blair helped me discover my greatest limiting belief last fall. That I had PTSD. I believed I had PTSD from an incident that dates back to January of 1988, when my first business partner passed away while I was holding on to him. And a lot of poop came out of that situation. And it really, taking traditional counseling, it wasn't until 1996 that I was diagnosed, and the programming began of me having PTSD. And continued for a long time. It just got, counseling just wasn't working. And I'd stop, I'd go back to it. Then in 22, in January, or end of January, beginning of February, I lost my oldest brother. And 3 months later, I lost my next oldest brother. They both passed away from, there's another belief, but it's not necessary to discuss here. But I was in a real miserable state. Then a couple of good things happened. I needed a knee replacement, got a knee replacement, and the pain from 10 years had disappeared. And I started being able to at least refocus and start to think things. And a friend of mine, a mutual friend between Blair and I, he got Blair and I together. And then as things progressed from there, Blair and I had a couple of one-on-one sessions, and very quickly he helped me realize that I don't have PTSD. Very much living in the past. I know that's a Jethro Tull album, and I love it, but I was
for life experience, like actual practical use and progression in life.
Yeah, but interesting enough, and I think this is a very clear example just in me talking about it now.
Mm-hmm.
2 years ago, I wouldn't have been able to do this.
Yeah.
Now I can. And now, by using the mind models and this barrier blocks and limiting belief session that we're going through has just reinforced so much of what I've experienced, what I've been living through, and has quite literally turned me around. I wish I was a younger man. My 70th is coming up in a few months. So
It's a powerful.
that's where I'm at. It's I'm loving this conversation.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing, Leslie. I know that was tender to you to share, and well done. I love that you said 2 years ago I couldn't do that, but now you have the self-confidence, I would assume, in being able to utilize and see how things can be different. Unfortunately, you guys, we are running close on time, and I think we need to transition to wrap up. Would you guys all be open to going a little bit deeper in this next week? I actually was curious how many of you would be open to maybe a little homework assignment, actually, to bring to the table next week. If you guys are open for that, drop me a 4 in the chat just so that we can transition. Let me know if you guys would like to continue this. And then also, this homework assignment is more about doing some personal reflection. What are some of the things, like the bigger things that are, did you just chuckle, Blair?
Yeah, Jane put in 2.5.
2.5.
Two and a half? Only 2.5? All right, Jane. But really, this was a powerful exercise that I did, you guys. And it's one that I honestly think about and revert to and kind of look at fairly often, especially when I'm finding myself frustrated with the trajectory of my life. And it's, kind of looking at what are maybe some of those limiting beliefs that we're holding on to that we're not willing to let go. What are some of those things that in some form or fashion might actually be keeping us safe? And by safe, I mean comfortable. Because all change, whether it's effective change or ineffective change, requires change. And us humanoids, us humans, don't like it. It's uncomfortable. Blair's talked a lot about the what actually goes on in, we've got ingrained habits, we have ingrained thought processes. Breaking out of those and shifting is uncomfortable. And we don't want to use more calories than we have to. But I'd be curious if you guys would maybe write down 3 of your top ones. It can be more than that. But then come next week willing to kind of share in our leftover section kind of where you see those things showing up.
Paying attention to kind of some of those things that we're telling ourselves. We have those I woulda, coulda, shoulda moments, or this is just the way I am, or moments like that when you're actually, it's a limiting belief. When you're holding yourself in a stuck position instead of getting curious and testing something, just noticing in your language pattern or noticing those moments in your life where as Becky mentioned, you're staying in that, smashing that safety and comfort and holding ourselves from moving forward.
Cool. With that, do you want to?
With that, yeah, let's we'll pivot into a wrap up. I wanted to mention, so Reza had to pop off really quick, but he put his comment here, his wrap up in the comments. Just wanted to read this real quick. He says, "Gotta go. Thanks everybody for tonight. It was a 9. I was stuck and realized I was and asked myself what I might do. Thank you all and happy birthday, Blair." So thank you, Reza. It was awesome having you on. It was great seeing you. So thank Reza for popping that into the chat.
Yep.
And Leslie, I know you just shared and kind of shared a bit of your heart there. Did you have anything else that came up for you tonight during this conversation? Just wanted to check in with you and see if you would kick off wrap up for us.
Thank you.
Oh, there you go.
One of the things I noted and highlighted here for sometimes I enjoy these phrases that pop up every once in a while. And if you do nothing, there is no room for improvement. If you do something bad, there is at least room for improvement.
Yep.
Blair said that. Just, that struck me. So
Bad is better
a
than
9.5 tonight.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I go bad is better than nothing.
Bad is better than nothing.
Thank you, Leslie. Appreciate it. Shane, I know you popped that in the chat, but are you in a position to come off mute and share? If not, that's fine. Shane had put. Oh yeah, go ahead, Shane.
Yeah, I mean, no, this stomach flu is not very fun. I hurt from the top of my head to not my lower extremities, just my stomach, lungs, and head. But anyway, no, it's the taking action. It's finding that you're stuck and actually doing something about it instead of just, oh, this is just the way I am. This is the way God built me. This is where I'm gonna be. This is who I'm designed to be. When you can actually take an action step and make that change.
Yep. Yep. And you had put in the chat here that it was a 7 for you. So thank you, Shane. Appreciate your being on tonight, even though you're not feeling well, and hopefully you get feeling better.
Trooper.
Yeah. Jane, would you like to share your wrap up for tonight? Yes, Jane.
I'm printing off Shane's thing. How about we ask Brent to go so I can mute while I'm printing?
Sure. Brent, would you like to share your wrap up for tonight?
Yeah, I was really looking forward to Jane, you know.
Oh, we'll circle back.
No, yeah, no, this is definitely a thinker. I know I have had limiting beliefs before, but being on here and being around Blair and those that are here has definitely helped identifying those and being able to move past them. But that one is I know we talked about it was with Shane. It was about, like, believing that you're not good enough or you don't deserve to succeed or win. You know, that's one that's a little more ingrained, like that feeling. So I'm conscious of that, so that way I don't sabotage my efforts and moving forward. So, you know, keep thinking that way. It's just going to sabotage those results that I'm looking for. So that I'm going after. So yeah, that's one for me for sure. Yeah, I would definitely like to dig in a little more. There was something that I was. Oh, assumptions is one that came up at the end there when you were talking. I was like, oh, I was assuming there a little bit. So making some assumptions there as well. So leaning to that and then looking into that because there's a gaps there as well. There's an assumption, but there's beliefs. There's a belief behind that as well. So yeah, that was just that popped up there at the end. Yeah, I'd give tonight a 9.5 for me. I like this. I know this is the one I suggested. I like this is because this is one of the more difficult things to look at. You know, and to identify those and to come out, you know, to move past them. So yeah, yeah. So that's for me.
Thanks, Brent. Appreciate you.
By the way, we have stuff on low self-esteem, low self-worth issues. You know what? The size of your now plays all into this thing, and getting into action, and sometimes even stretching the past into now so that we don't take action. So that's another significant piece. Like, there's so many ways to take a look at this.
Yep.
And Reza came back.
Yes. Reza, wanted to check in with you. I know you had popped in the chat earlier, but we're moved into the wrap up portion. Just wondered if there was anything in addition to what you put in the chat that you wanted to share that you took away from tonight.
No, that was all. I was able to jump back on, and I appreciate every one of you. It's been great. I've been not able to consistently join on here, but I've been able to play it on 2x on YouTube, and it's been amazing. Every BDE. So thank you guys.
Nice. Well, we look forward to seeing you. We love it when you hop on. So thanks for hopping on tonight and being a part of this. We really appreciate it.
When you do that on YouTube, please always comment, Reza. You know, like and comment. Love it.
Yes, we'll do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jackie, not sure how much of the conversation you caught tonight, but wanted to check in with you and see if you had a takeaway from tonight, if you're able to come off mute.
Yeah, actually I did. I don't know if you can hear me. I'm sorry, I'm like outside. Um,
You look like you're in space. It's pretty cool. We can hear you, Jackie.
in Peru, it's kind of cool. If you want to
We
have a
can
quick
see you
look.
just fine when the camera works.
Yep.
One of the things that really resonates with me tonight is the and Jane, this may sound like a judgment, but the stuckness of where you're at. Here's, oh, sorry. It's loud here outside. However,
Sorry, are you covering up your mic? We can sort of hear something, but
We could hear you for a second,
sorry,
Jackie. Oh, there you go.
yeah, there we go.
anyway, the one thing that I have had a struggle with is matching a feeling to an action. If it didn't feel right, I didn't think it was worth doing at that moment.
You're kind of breaking up on us, Jackie.
Learning that you can't have your own way to feel right or feel perfect. Sometimes I realized also too that I thought, can you hear me?
Now,
We,
yep.
we can hear you now, Jackie. Yep. You broke up there for a second, but you're okay now.
And another thing that I think is I can't do it without having company, like somebody there, even if like I have done like and it's worked out really well. Like, what the hell is stopping me from doing that on my own? So I want to investigate that, because that that's all about freedom.
Yeah.
You know, like if I have to rely on having somebody else there to allow me to take a next step, where the hell is my freedom and my freedom of choice? So may sound kind of out there, but that's where I'm at.
Cool.
And I would give it a 9 out of 10 just for the few minutes I've been here. So thank you very much. And happy birthday, Blair.
Thank you. Really appreciate that, Jackie.
Thank you, Jackie. Great to see you. Have fun. Be careful. Jane,
Always.
let's circle back to you, Jane.
Thank you. Okay, I have Colin's list all printed out and I have my highlighter attached to it, so that's on my list.
Wonderful.
To have many words.
Yep.
And well done taking immediate action, Jane.
Yes.
Huh?
Well done taking immediate action.
Well, I take action every day. It's just not the action that I really
Is what you just currently did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, yeah. It's a step. Well, I have been taking actions and trying to get to a solution. I'm trying to be resourceful because I do understand.
Okay, hold it. Stop. Time out. Is what you did something that moves you towards being resourceful?
Yes. And
then stop right there. Hold it. Don't overanalyze it. Like time out. You're overanalyzing it. You start off with something that's pretty good, and then it turns into this horrible thing in just like 5 seconds of you talking.
Well, I know.
No, you got to stop yourself. This is what I was doing with my client, and I didn't have evidence of you doing this. Now I've got hard video evidence of you doing what I said. It started out, yes, I did this. Great. Stop there with the micro win. Okay, yes, I did that. What's the next micro win I can do? That's it. It makes them small, not all.
Okay.
Okay, please try that. Very small.
I'm forgetting to feel the celebration when I do my little micro wins.
Ta-da! Touchdown! touchdown, touchdown. Yes,
But can you just acknowledge? Do you have to feel it? Can you just acknowledge it?
that's
Even
right. That's all you
acknowledging
need
it,
to do. You don't
like
even need to
notice
feel it. You
it.
just have to
Notice
know.
it.
Yeah, notice it and then poo it. Awareness.
You don't have to feel it. It's an accumulation of acknowledgments and noticing. And then you might get the, oh, but don't expect that just to happen. Because like if we wait for that to happen, we're gonna be fucking stuck forever.
Forever.
Yeah,
So-
I dismiss my wins. I admit it.
Yeah.
Okay.
One of the things that I noticed from you tonight, Jane, is you mentioned not even getting started. And I'm sitting here going, wait a minute. I've heard a bunch of things that you're doing. You're already started.
You're
It's just
Right.
noticing what's working and what's not working. It comes back to just effective versus ineffective. You've already started. You're testing what's working, what's not working, and keep testing. You got it.
And identify as
The
Blair.
bar is so high. The bar is so high. Maybe lower the bar a little bit so you can actually appreciate.
Okay.
Lower the bar so it's like something that you can walk over, like drop it on the ground and step over it type of low.
Okay.
That, as Blair's talking about Iber and flow, what's the first thing you're gonna do? You've already
Iber and flow.
Iber is an action plan.
I know
looks-
it. I know what Iber is. I've never heard you say it in flow.
The reason I phrased it that way is because an Iber can be written down on paper and it can be beautiful. It's an action plan. It's a to-do list. It's all the listed things because we want this thing. But until you start taking action so that you can actually put it in practice, in flow, I have
And
an
do it.
I'm going to behave, not just the be, like the behavior I'm going to do might be and list all the things you might do, but actually do the how of it and then evaluate. It's a step by step. You can't climb a ladder and skip 4 rungs. You can't run across planks over a bridge or over a chasm, right? Without falling through and being petrified of getting started and analyzing the crap out of, oh my gosh, if I do this, then that might happen if I don't do this, but I need to do this and this and this. And so the distraction happens. The magic comes from being clear on what you want to achieve and then cleanly line out the steps. And
Actually, no, for you, it's like start with the first step,
yes,
then
Jane,
the second step, then the
Yes.
third step.
right.
It's not, for
Yep.
her,
No,
she's
fair
trying to
enough.
do steps.
Fair enough.
And I go, no, just one at a time.
Which you already did how many tonight on this call?
Exactly.
How many did you do tonight on this call?
Mhm.
What did you do specifically?
You got out your wheel, your feeling wheel that you cut out. You then said that wasn't enough. I need to find Colin's stuff. You found Colin's stuff. You're now printing it out. You're doing these are all steps you've done.
Okay.
You're taking action, but you're refusing to acknowledge yourself until I went, stop, stop, stop. You're doing stuff because if you don't do it, it doesn't count. But what's worse is if you do something and ignore it, it still doesn't count in your brain.
You're sabotaging your success.
Self-sabotage your own
And-
success.
And this
Okay.
is what I was mentioning earlier. Don't create your own barrier with your limiting belief.
So
This is like me last week when I said that I started stacking all of the stuff in front of me so that I couldn't get to where I wanted to be.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Back to you,
that-
Jane. What
so
what did you take away
Mhm.
from that?
tonight was definitely a 10. I got a lot out of this and just acknowledging the progress that I've made is huge. Of course, my brain's going boom, boom. Well, then I could do this and I could do this. And it's already
Yep.
onto more things instead of staying present.
One
So-
thing at a time.
Awesome. And your number tonight, Jane?
I said
Oh.
that
Sorry,
Yeah.
I meant
tonight is a 10. I don't do
Okay.
10s very often, but tonight was definitely a 10.
well done, Jay.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Jane.
And sorry, Brent, for throwing you under the bus.
I think that's a sorry, not sorry moment, but we'll let it slide.
No,
yeah.
I
Thank you,
really
Jay.
like Grant. I don't think he likes me. I like it.
Lori, would you like to participate in the wrap up?
Sure. I just want to say, Blair, when we're staying stuck, is it because we're afraid of failure, that we might fail? Is that why a reason why we stay stuck? Is that one of the
One of
reasons?
many, but
Okay.
that is definitely one.
Okay.
And yeah, just fearing that no matter what I do, I'm going to be wrong.
Right.
So
So
no
the
sense starting
negative self-talk.
in a massive way. Yeah,
Okay.
that's one of them.
Okay. The other thing I always liked that you talked about was three things that worked, or three things: what worked today, what didn't work, what might I change or do differently tomorrow. I use that a lot of myself. I use it with my nephew who's staying with me. He's been applying it, himself as well, and it works.
Yep.
Small things, just like Jane, you said, just even walking into the office, like that was the start. That's one thing that worked. So that's great. Um, and Jacqueline, just picking that one thing off the floor, that's your start. That's the one thing that you did that worked. That's great. And if that's those micro little things that you have to take and reward yourself, exactly like Blair said, that works. You acknowledge that and go from there. And take tomorrow, day 2, do it again.
That's right.
Yeah, it was great, and really enjoyed all the conversation. Jane being so open and sharing, and Leslie, you too, was great. Love your leadership, Tim and Becky, and your insight, Brent. It was great to hear from everybody. Anyway, happy birthday, Blair,
Thank
and
you.
I give it a 10.
Thank you, Lori.
You're welcome.
For me tonight, it was a 9.5. I loved the conversation tonight. Loved that everybody had something to share. Leslie, really appreciate what you shared tonight and your vulnerability. Jane, same. Thank you for being vulnerable tonight and opening up with things that are working and not working for you. Jackie, it's great to see you. It was wonderful to see you hop on, and because I know you're traveling a lot, and it's really awesome to see you tonight. And just the conversation tonight was a lot of fun, and I just love the opportunity that we have here on the Blair Dunkley Experience to come together and to really share what is going on for us personally, opening up and being willing and able to work through those limiting beliefs, those barriers and things that are coming up for each of us. And the fact that we all feel safe and comfortable enough to share that in this environment. It's one of the things I absolutely love and works for me on the Blair Dunkley Experience. Blair, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Would love that we get to be here and celebrate with you. And tonight was just a lot of fun. One of the things that comes up for me a lot when we're working with limiting beliefs is just one of the things that I focused on is listening to myself. When I start saying, oh, I can't do that, I take that moment of pause and go, wait,
How do I know?
yeah, how do I know? Or I can't do that. Well, wait, what if I can? Immediately following those statements up with, or it's just the way I am. No, wait, hold on, 2 seconds. No, it's not. Like following those statements, those certainty moments up with a question of, wait, 2 seconds. Is that true? And just that moment of pause and asking myself a question when I come from a place of certainty has worked wonders for me. And it's just one of the things that I have personally done to kind of keep me out of those limiting beliefs and might be helpful for those of you out there as you're noticing those moments throughout this week with that homework. Follow those, time yourself out and go, wait, hold on. But what do I know about this? Or what might I do? Or just ask yourself, follow those up with a question. That's my humble offering. So that's my takeaway for tonight. Blair.
Thank you.
Up.
So, yeah, Jackie, mental masturbation. Yep, just going around like crazy. Yeah, I know. Yep. And holding yourself stuck. I've done that for a lot of years early on. in there thinking, oh, I'm good. I had a good job. I had everything there. But what I didn't do was I didn't take my research and get it out to people. And yeah, it was something that I needed to shift. And I did so quite some years ago. Fortunately, I did shift, but I have real good clarity on the times that I was horribly stuck in self-doubt, self-worth issues, and really diving into the belief around who I was and how I could not do, and finally breaking through into what I can do. And the biggest thing with that was what I did with Jane was chunking it down to notice my first step, not my 31st step, not my 70th step, but my first step. Because I can't move if I don't take that first step. So it's always the first step. It's just like turning my routine of getting up in the morning into exercise first for me so that my hips work. Okay, to minimize the use of my cane, to minimize everything like my recovery that I will have when I go in for hip surgery. And I'm definitely looking forward to that these days. But I mean, if I don't have a way of managing myself, all I'll do is collapse into myself in self-pity and resignation that I can't do, or I can't find a way to do, or feeling even worse, I don't know how to do, and I can't undo. Well, it doesn't matter. But if I learn how to go forward, all the can't do, whatever, if I just learn to take one step forward at a time, just one, I can do. And anything is then possible. Anyway, for me, it was a great night. Thank you. A wonderful way to spend my birthday. Lori, you shocked the hell out of me today, coming into my place and bringing me balloons and burger and everything else. I wish you were better and I could have hugged you and kissed you, but you know, it really wasn't there because you got a cold and she was wearing a mask and we couldn't get much more than 6 feet apart. But yeah, so you know, anyway, it was amazing. Thank you so much. You made my birthday. Um, and it's a great day to spend it with the people I love.
You're
So
welcome.
thank you guys.
Thank you, Blair.
Thank
Thank
you. So today, on my birthday, all of my birthday is a 10. And to all of you, it was amazing. Thank you so much. Becky, do you want to wrap up and take us out, or is that Tim?
I'm gonna handle it because I haven't shared.
I
Thank
didn't think so. Yeah.
9.5 for me tonight. This is a powerful thing and it's very rich in depth and utility in how our limiting beliefs show up and the impact that they're making in our lives. And so I'm excited that you guys are on board to go further with this next week and for being willing to do a little bit of homework before we come into the BDE, because I think for me, the learning is great of mind models. And I think that the first time that I went through, it was just like, oh, this is really cool. I can use these things. But again, it was the application to my own life. It's like, how do I actually use this? Where are my stuck spots? Where are my blind spots? How can I use these to get more of what I want in life, move away from, you know, the things that are causing, you know, stress or resistance. And so thank you guys for all being willing to play and invest in each other and create this awesome environment. And to mention, you know, the safety. It may be uncomfortable to identify things or to reflect internally, even if we don't share out loud. But even that, to Blair's point, is a starting point, the awareness. Okay, that then you can build a process from what might I need to do differently, or how might I move from this space? What do I want to do? So thank you guys for all hanging out with us tonight. Again, just a reminder, Tuesday nights, the BDE, we will be here every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Mountain, 9 p.m. Eastern. If you know somebody that you would love to see exposed to mind bottles, somebody that you believe this could be an opportunity for them to get support with things that they may be dealing in their life, please share. So if you're hanging out there on YouTube, please make sure that you like, comment, subscribe, and share, because mind models are the pathway to getting traction in your life, to improving whatever area you may be struggling in a very simple, identifiable, duplicatable, and repeatable way. And we would love to have you join us. Also, remember that if you want an enhancement to your experience here on the BDE, Blair has put together his study guide. It's where you're going to get all historical and ongoing notes from episode 318 moving forward. Again, we're on 331. So that's quite a bit of great information that you can utilize to identify which things you might want to pay a little bit more attention to enhance your experience here with us. So please make sure that if that's something that you want, that you go to blairdunkley.com/BDE Insider Notes. And we look forward to seeing you next week. Please make sure that you like, comment, subscribe, and we will see you next time. And again, homework is, where did I put it in the chat? I popped it in the chat. Take a minute to reflect on what some limiting beliefs you might be holding and how they might be keeping you stuck or not working. And if you are open to that, bring them with you next week on Tuesday. We're going to dive a little bit deeper into some different areas on how these can be impacting you and what you might be able to do differently to be able to move forward from them. Blair, happy birthday. Thanks for
Thank you.
investing in us and spending time with us on your special day. And we look forward to seeing you guys next week. Take care.
Take care, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.